Welcome to Marketecture, where you can get smart fast with in-depth interviews of leading technology vendors. I'm Mike Shields, and I'm here with Jay Prasad. He's the CEO of Relo Metrics. Hey, Jay, thanks for being here.
Hey, Mike, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to chat with you. And on that note, let's start with the big top of the hour question that helps set everything up. What does your company do?
We measure and value sports marketing, specifically in the form of sports sponsorships. So these are the brand integrations, the logos you see on screen during programming, on the field, virtual, and then all of those same sponsorships as they appear in social media during and following a game.
There are lots of companies that measure sports television, and there's a lot of companies that measure like brand lift, but was the thinking that nobody measures these specific elements of sports sponsorships that are unique? What was the insight?
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to speak on a bit of the history of the company that predates me as I came on as CEO in October of 2022. But the origins of GumGum have always been around contextual advertising and contextual intelligence. Really, so understanding the context of a web page would create, in essence, a way to create contextual ad placements. And that was being done by an analysis of websites, right? So, GumGum's origins go back, I think, 13 years. So, in that time, it was always a hotbed for innovation and really new thinking around computer vision. So as the sports opportunity and use cases started to present themselves, this was also at a time where computer vision technology was starting to take some leaps forward. And to answer your question about, well, why the sponsorships? Because people do measure sports content, right? How many people watched, what was the rating of that game? And people measure the ads that are appearing around the game. But what about all the integrations that are happening in the game? The things that are on camera for hours on end, and the things that are visible in the stadium and in the arena, that did not have nearly as much measurement infrastructure or ecosystem adoption built around it.
So are you trying to measure, I believe you're probably talking about things like, this game is brought to you by Ford, or, this is the Tostitos halftime show or whatever. Are you trying to count how many people saw those things and impressions? Or are you trying to measure effectiveness, impact, social media? What are you trying to measure exactly?
Yeah, so we look at things like what you mentioned, which would be audio mentions or integrations into shoulder programming, your pre and post game show. But a majority of the game, what you see is the logos and the brands that are integrated into the field of play in the stadium, right? I mean, if you look at something like SoFi Stadium, right? You start with SoFi Stadium, right? They're naming rights to that. Every time they come, pan in and out of a commercial break, you're seeing the stadium, you're seeing the branding, right?
Right. That's not a paid advertisement, but you're seeing that a lot during the broadcast.
You're seeing that a lot. It's highly visible assets from SoFi, right? It's built into a $5 billion stadium. You also inside have, the world's largest LED screen, right? And there's lots of brand integrations and sponsors that appear on that. You also have the digital or the LED ribbons that surround, the layers that, focus up and down a stadium. All of those usually have multiple different sponsors appearing because now it's all digital based signage. Then, sticking with this theme, you may have the college football playoff taking place there, and that has different sponsors and brands than the typical Rams or Chargers game does. Allstate may have the field goal net behind it. You have AT&T integrated into multiple parts of the college football playoff. Then you also have what's on the sideline, right? Apple is the sponsor of NHL, right? So all the tablets you see are Apple. However, the NFL is all Microsoft Surface, right? So the headphones, so all of those things that are visible, that are a part of the experience, we're actually putting together the actual exposure that appears in broadcast and streaming. And then again, where those integrations appear in social media. Now that could be just the video clips from the game being posted in social media, but you also have things like sponsored posts that are happening from the team, or perhaps they created a specific video asset with one of the players, for example, that is in conjunction with one of the sponsors. Those then all count as various exposures. So what we do is we track, analyze, and then grade, right? So by tracking, this is where the computer vision comes into place, right? We're basically analyzing.
So how do you track it? Like when you say computer vision, are computers watching every game and recording all this stuff? Like what's going on?
Correct. Yeah, we're recording, ingesting, and then running our computer vision and algorithms on top of the video assets. And then we have created reinforced machine learning algorithms that are really helping detect what a logo is. Is this State Farm? Is this Geico? What placement is it? Is this NFL field goal? Or is this NBA basket stanchion? Or is this MLB center field? We actually have a classification of every placement type in all major sports.
Thanks for listening. To hear the complete interview, subscribe at marketecture.tv.